Two major defense companies are in a battle for the future of Canada's fighter jet fleet. Sweden's Saab Gripen versus U.S. firm Lockheed Martin's F-35s. This comes after Prime Minister Mark Carney ordered a review of Canada's F-35 contract with Lockheed.
For years, the Gripen has been aviation's punching bag, dismissed by defense experts, mocked by military analysts, and treated like the bargain bin option that desperate nations settle for. American defense media painted it as Sweden's adorable attempt to play in the big leagues, a cute little fighter that couldn't possibly compete with the technological giants. The criticisms were relentless and brutal. Too small, they said. Insufficient weapons payload. Limited range. Single-engine vulnerability. Defense contractors whispered that any nation choosing the Gripen over the F-35 was making an amateur mistake driven by budget constraints rather than strategic wisdom. Online military forums turned the Gripen into a punchline, with keyboard warriors confidently declaring it would be target practice for American jets. Major defense publications consistently ranked it below the F-35, Rafale, Eurofighter Typhoon, and even older platforms like the F-15EX. Lockheed Martin representatives would barely suppress smirks when asked about Swedish competition. Boeing executives openly dismissed Saab as irrelevant. The message was clear and constant. The Gripen was overrated, outclassed, and obsolete before it even reached full production. But here's what nobody told you. Every single one of these critics was about to eat their words in the most humiliating way possible. And it would all happen in front of NATO's most elite pilots. Red Flag Alaska, 2024, the most demanding air combat exercise on planet Earth, where the world's best fighter pilots face off against realistic enemy tactics in unforgiving conditions. 14 nations participated, bringing their frontline aircraft to prove their worth. The Gripen E arrived quietly, almost apologetically, with Swedish pilots who knew the entire exercise expected them to be cannon fodder. Day 1. Confidence. American F-35 pilots joked about going easy on their Swedish allies. French Rafale crews predicted they'd rack up simulated kills before lunch. British Eurofighter Typhoon pilots planned their post-exercise celebration speeches. The conventional wisdom was ironclad. This would be a demonstration of Western air superiority, with the Gripen playing the role of the plucky underdog who tries hard but ultimately confirms everyone's assumptions. Day 3. Confusion. The Gripen wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Veteran pilots with thousands of combat hours were being repeatedly shot down by an aircraft they dismissed as inferior. Something was terribly wrong, or terribly right depending on your perspective. Day 7. Shock. When the final statistics were compiled, jaws hit the floor across NATO command. The Swedish Gripen E had achieved a kill ratio that made F-35 pilots question their training, their aircraft, and possibly their entire career choices. We're talking about numbers so embarrassing that several air forces initially refused to believe the data was accurate. What actually happened in those Alaskan skies was nothing short of revolutionary, and the tactical breakdown reveals why the Gripen is the most misunderstood fighter aircraft in modern history. Let's get into the brutal details that defense contractors desperately wish would stay classified. The Gripen's electronic warfare suite proved to be generations ahead of what NATO intelligence had estimated. Swedish pilots were detecting, tracking, and jamming enemy aircraft at ranges that shouldn't have been possible for a fighter its size. F-35s, supposedly the most advanced stealth fighters ever built, were being seen and targeted while their pilots remained confident in their invisibility. The psychological impact was devastating. In beyond visual range engagements, the Gripen's sensor fusion and data link capabilities created a battlefield awareness picture so comprehensive that Swedish pilots had what one American pilot called God mode awareness. They knew where everyone was, what everyone was doing, and what everyone was about to do before it happened. Meanwhile, larger, more expensive fighters were operating partially blind. Close-in dogfighting? Even worse for the competition. The Gripen's extraordinary thrust-to-weight ratio, instantaneous turn rate, and energy management made it almost impossible to track in visual combat. Pilots reported the aircraft could change direction like it violated physics. One French Rafale pilot, speaking anonymously, admitted, "We weren't fighting a jet. We were fighting a damn hummingbird with missiles." Sweden designed the Gripen around operational reality, not political requirements or contractor profit margins. While the F-35 program added weight, complexity, and cost to satisfy multiple service branches and international partners, Sweden focused obsessively on what actually wins air battles: situational awareness, electronic warfare, rapid response, and pilot workload management. The Gripen's small size, long criticized as a weakness, is actually its greatest strength. Smaller radar cross-section, lower infrared signature, ability to operate from damaged runways, highways, and improvised bases. When conflict erupts, you can't fly the fighters sitting in maintenance hangars waiting for pristine runways and extensive support equipment. The Gripen launches from anywhere, maintained by small teams, ready within minutes. Then there's the classified part that's slowly leaking out. Sweden integrated artificial intelligence and machine learning into the Gripen's combat systems years before American programs. The aircraft doesn't just present information, it predicts enemy actions, suggests optimal tactics, and handles electronic warfare autonomously while pilots focus on employment decisions. It's not a fighter jet, it's a force multiplier that makes average pilots perform like aces. And the operational cost? $4,700 per flight hour versus the F-35's $36,000. You can fly 8 Gripen missions for one F-35 sortie. The red flag results triggered an absolute earthquake through the global defense industry, and the desperate damage control efforts revealed just how threatened American manufacturers truly are by Swedish success. Lockheed Martin immediately launched a media campaign questioning the exercise parameters, suggesting the scenarios were unrealistic and didn't reflect actual combat conditions. Translation: they got embarrassed and needed excuses. Boeing representatives started emphasizing the F-15EX's payload capacity, conveniently ignoring that carrying maximum weapons makes you a slow, easy target. Raytheon suddenly discovered urgent reasons why NATO should focus on missile technology rather than platform performance. But the real panic happened in government procurement offices worldwide. Within weeks of the red flag results leaking, Poland requested urgent Gripen briefings. Colombia put their F-16 replacement program on hold. The Philippines, previously considered a guaranteed F-35 customer, announced they were evaluating all options. Brazil, already operating Gripens, immediately ordered additional aircraft and started making noise about becoming a regional production hub. The Pentagon responded with threats thinly disguised as diplomacy. Allies considering Gripen purchases suddenly faced warnings about interoperability concerns and security clearance complications. It was transparent, desperate, and ultimately ineffective. You can't threaten people into ignoring combat results. Sweden's offer to Canada suddenly made perfect strategic sense. The Gripen isn't the budget option for countries that can't afford better. It might actually be the better option that costs less. That's the truth that's shaking Western air power to its core. The Gripen's NATO triumph exposes an uncomfortable reality. Bigger budgets and political connections don't guarantee superior weapons. Sometimes the underestimated underdog is actually the smartest choice all along. The question is, how many other overrated systems are actually dominating while critics stay blissfully ignorant? Were you shocked by these results? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button, share this with every military enthusiast you know, and subscribe for the defense industry secrets they don't want revealed.